Welcome to another episode of Behind the Studs, your home improvement and remodeling podcast, where the two most entertaining guys discuss the do's and don'ts in home construction and in the remodeling industry. Remember that you can nail it, paint it, or just tune into the show. How about that? Here are your hosts, Colin Shaw and Jimmy Driscoll.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Behind the Studs. Hello, Mr. Driscoll. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. Hey, you know what I was thinking about today?
What?
We are maybe about a month away from our third season starting. We're almost done with season 2.
Well, this is the perfect opportunity to tell you that today is my last day.
You're not even going to finish the season out?
No, it's not that. Today was my last day for cleaning gutters ever.
Oh, for cleaning gutters. I thought you were done with the show.
I am freaking done.
No
I will
more
never
gutters?
do gutters again.
Good
I
for
just
you.
had the gutter job from hell.
Ugh.
I just turned 60 and I'm like, what am I doing up here? So from now on, if I'm going to commit suicide, I'm going to say I'm going to go clean some gutters.
So if I hear you say that, I got to be concerned.
Good.
Yeah.
Take a look out.
Yeah. Well, I saw you get out of the truck and you're walking like John Wayne. So
forget it.
I was
I was
a little nervous.
fine. I was fine. And I was bragging.
Really?
6 years, I got nothing wrong with me. I'm healthy. I have my
Sure.
shoulders, my
Right.
knees, my ankles, and then a week later, a FedEx truck shows up, and I open it up, and it's like, oh, your birthday present was a week late. Here's a bad knee. Here's your bad fucking ankles. Here's your back. Oh, don't forget about the sciatica. Yeah. And what was I talking about? I don't remember.
I was going to say memory loss.
Let me just look it up.
Yep.
Oh, I can't see anymore because my eyes are failing.
So you had one big delivery.
Right in the pocket, baby.
Beautiful.
Right in
Beautiful.
the pocket.
Well, we do have a young guy on the show today.
Good.
So, maybe that'll kind of offset things.
Absolutely.
Make you feel a little younger.
Yeah.
Or older. One of the two. Yeah.
Ooh.
So we got with us today Jordan Kenyon. He is the owner and operator of Peak Landscaping and Snow Removal. Hey, Jordan. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Jordan.
Good. How are you guys?
Oh,
We're
we're
good,
just awesome,
thanks.
as you can tell.
Yeah. Jimmy kind of goes through some of these little spurts there. So
Mr. Wilson.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what we used to call him on the job site was Mr. Wilson.
Yeah, that's me in 40 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Unfortunately, it's only 10 for me. So
jeez. Yeah.
We'll all be there eventually. Yes. So it was really nice of you to reach out to us. You were on a mutual friend of ours podcast, Michael Whitehouse.
Mhm.
So the guy who knows a guy.
Yeah, he was actually on my podcast. That's how
it was on yours. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's how he mentioned you guys. And
Yeah, he's a good guy. What's your podcast?
CT Business Podcast.
CT Business Podcast. All right, cool. How long you been doing it?
About a month since this pandemic started.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Wow.
How's that going?
So far, so good. I am not exactly the kind of person that likes to be on camera, so it's little bit different. But so far, so good. I like to talk, so that's on my side.
Well, there you go. That's perfect for a podcast.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Man.
So what type of stuff you been working on these days?
We got a couple hardscapes, luckily secured, especially with everything that's going on. Before we hopped on, I was building a retaining wall for a client that had ripped down a bunch of privet hedges and just they wanted to add a little bit more height because their mulch kept sliding out. So
okay. Yeah.
And like every other landscaper, we got a little bit of maintenance going on. So, even though the pandemic shut everything down, grass does not stop growing.
Yeah, they can't stop that.
Nor does your hair or the roots and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So what do you prefer on the hardscapes? What's your specialty when you do it? Is it stone walls, building outdoor fireplaces? What do you like the best?
I really just like being creative with it. Natural stone isn't something that I've done a lot of, so I kind of stay away from that, or I hire it out or bring somebody in for that. But anything, I still want to build an outdoor kitchen. Haven't gotten to that yet. But anything that is creative, that me and the client can just make something that's awesome that they can enjoy.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, if you want to practice on outdoor kitchens, you got my house and Jimmy's house. So
you guys
no,
get the
you
stuff.
don't have my house. You do not have my house. That's all I need.
Right.
Jason shows up and Jane goes like, "Oh,
Jordan,
I want the Great Wall of China kitchen outside with a torrent."
Yes.
Well, what's funny is kitchens are perceived as being extremely expensive, and
Yeah,
they can be. I mean, they push $15,000 in some cases.
Sure.
But Unilock is the company that I use a lot, and they're an awesome company, great for education. But they just came out with a new product, the Yukara wall, and that was 2 years ago. And then they just came out with a aluminum frame for kitchens. So instead of building a whole big grand kitchen, you build this aluminum frame in a few hours, and then you just hang the Yukara walls right on top. So it brings your 15,000 down to about 6 or 7, which is still a good chunk of money, but at least you're not taking out a second mortgage for a kitchen on top of a very large patio in itself.
Right. Yeah.
Nice. And fire pits still popular?
Yeah, moving more towards propane, but fire pits are still,
Interesting. I don't know which one I would prefer, propane or wood.
Well, you have control over a propane fire,
right?
And wood can be. I mean, you got more to think about on a wood fire.
Mm-hmm. No, true.
I would go with, if you're talking like a nice space, I would go with like a propane, because like you say, you have more control over it. When you have those wood burning fires, usually you try to go big or go home, and you don't want to get
that would be my problem. Right.
Yeah, you start having a pallet fire on this big old project.
Well, you remember those chimeneas? Remember when chimeneas were like really popular? I used to try to get the flames to shoot straight up out of the top. So that's probably not
wonderful.
It's probably not a good thing for me to have a wood burning fire pit. Yeah.
Chimenea. Oh my God. Where were they invented? New Mexico?
I don't know.
They should stay down there if that's where they came from.
You didn't like chimeneas?
No.
What's the matter with a chimenea?
They suck. You get a little flame in a little hole.
You just weren't putting enough wood in there.
Oh, not like you.
Right.
Half a gallon of gas.
Yeah. Get that sucker to shoot up there 3-4 feet up in the air.
It's too hot and the freaking clay cracks. It falls apart. Yeah, I left one out one time.
Well, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Got to cover them up.
Yeah.
I had to steal one. Someone gave me one. Now I know why they gave it to me. It looked like it came out of a Monty Python movie. You couldn't do anything with it. You could put like a stick in it. That was it.
So they gave it to you and said, "Here, you throw it out."
Yeah, take these 4,000-pound chimenea, put it in your backyard. I painted it 3 times.
All right.
You
painted it?
I painted it.
Why did you paint
Made it nice and black, nice, beautiful. Use it twice.
Jeez.
Couldn't even burn leaves in the friggin' thing.
Piece of shit. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So, Jay,
back.
Do you like chimeneas? See, he doesn't even like.
I don't even know what it is.
Good. God bless you.
I think that's before my time.
I think it is too.
Yeah. Wow, it's been that long since they haven't been around.
God.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about it.
Just before the 8-track tapes, I think.
Oh my God. All right, forget
Jordan.
it. We're on to something else. All right. So, Jordan, I was on your site a little bit, your website, and I saw some of the garden designs that you did. They're very, very, very nice. Very nice.
Thank you. I can't take all the credit. I actually am still learning on that. I use a garden designer.
Okay.
Her name's Kat out of Old Lyme.
Oh, yeah. I know her. I know her.
Really?
She's extremely smart. So she's been doing it for about 25 years.
Mm-hmm. Wow. We got to get her on the show.
So basically, when she comes to you, does she go, listen, I'm going to plant this, and this? Or do you say, Kat, I'm going to build a wall like this? And she goes, I'm going to put this, and this. How does it work?
The process I'll get the call from the customer, and we'll go over that initial meeting of, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I recommend, this is what we agree on. And then I'll call her and say, hey, Kat, this is what I'm looking to do. Let's look at the site. She'll get a drawing, and then I'll go install all the plants. So what she's doing, because plants are, if you've ever been to Pride's, which is the wholesaler out of Lebanon, there's 96 pages of plants, and they're all in Latin. And to learn all that and to know what they look like and how they work together is something that I just don't have the time to do right now. And so it's much easier to have Kat do it for me.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's why my mother just had poinsettias.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, there's a lot going on, man. There's a whole science to it.
Oh, there is.
Besides the soil and everything else.
Yeah, you need to know the if it's shady, if it's sunny, what's the soil conditions, what is the space? Because a lot of landscapers, and I'm probably guilty of it too before I knew about this, is we'll put a plant and we won't know what it's going to look like in its full maturity. So then when it's fully mature, it takes over this massive space and they're like, what the hell happened? And well, the plant wasn't meant for that area is what happened.
Well, that brings up the question. Okay, so you have a customer saying, okay, Jordan, I want to plant such and such plants. And Cat comes over and says, well, these will not thrive very well here, but I want these plants. Okay, but it ain't going to work. It works for a little time. Looks for a little while. But do you find that sometimes that you have to go against the grain with the customer, what they prefer, what they like to do? And you have to change the soil or something?
Yeah, garden design isn't a major part of my business, but I always try to recommend the safest part. I was actually on the phone with a customer today. They were asking me about fertilizing, which is something that I sub out as well to Jordan Brook Lawn Care. Very smart guy again. And I was telling her, if you want to do this, I'll do it. I'm happy to do it, but you're working backwards. You're putting good money at a bad spot. So, if it's really what you want to do, by all means, it can get done, but I'm telling you it won't work. And, at that point, it's their decision. They've been given all the facts, the pros, the cons, and at the end of the day, what they say, the customer is always right.
Yeah, it's their money.
Yeah,
if they want to do it, then great.
Yeah.
No, we run into it as well. Doing what we do.
Yeah. So you prefer to work with structured stone, basically, architectural stone, pavers, what is it? What do they call it? The stackable walls.
Oh, the engineered block, SRWs.
Yes, that's it. Engineered RW. Those are nice. They're really, I think they're really nice on commercial property. I'm afraid of using them on a home because I feel that they can be very trendy. Like they're beautiful when they go in because everyone's got them, but like 15 years later, do they lose their spark, their appeal? Where rather if you do use a manufactured stone, whether it's like a paver, I think I like that. I like the paver styles. I mean, I don't think those ever really go out of ever go out of style. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
no.
Are you talking about those like cinder blocks, those massive ones? Or are you talking about because with SRW walls, there's so many different products and so many different designs that you can get into.
Right.
And some have gone out of style, but I mean, like anything, if you put it in 15 years ago, chances are it's not in style anyway.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I think people like to change up their gardens and things like that from time to time. But on the other hand, you can do some amazing stuff with that stuff. I mean, you can really conform a landscape and really like make some great twists and turns and great, the stairs on those things are beautiful, right? Because they're because you can put those in, make them to code, right? Stair-wise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, your standard SRW wall is about 6 inches for actual retaining wall block. Some of them are smaller, like the Rivercrest wall by Unilock is only about 2.5 inches. But you can get into a 6 or 7 inch step after you do your cap and block. Then you always have your granite steps that if you can get them about 7 inches as well. So it's pretty easy to get to code, and outside's a little bit more lenient than inside code.
Yeah, especially when you're down that low to the ground.
Granite steps.
Yeah.
Might as well build a pyramid.
Not as expensive as you would think.
Well, but labor intensive as far as I'm concerned. Labor intensive.
Actually, engineered wall block is more labor intensive than putting in a granite slab. Granite goes quick. It's a lot easier.
Really? I would think the opposite. Really?
Yeah, because when you're building engineered wall, you have to build the wall itself,
Right.
as your main course. Then with walls, you have return walls. So you're coming into your stairs, you have to build your wall going back, your second course, more wall, third course, more wall, fourth course. And then that's how you get your stairs. But then when you build with granite, you don't need those return walls. You can just level out your spot, place it, and that's it. So
that's it. Nice.
And it can depending on the situation is where more you'll go into a certain route.
Okay. Well, I learned something again today.
It's always good to learn.
Yeah, I just taught the old man something.
Now, what do you think? Homeowners should try to tackle on their own. Retaining walls take a little bit of knowledge, in my opinion. But walkways, things like that, things that the homeowner might be able to tackle, especially in the world today, as they're stuck at home and they're looking for outdoor projects to do. What do you give them the thumbs up to try?
I would definitely let a professional do a retaining wall, especially if it's structural. If it's holding anything back, there's a lot more that goes into a wall than just throwing some base down, and half the time you don't even get the base when a homeowner does it.
Right.
And if it's holding anything back, it will blow and it will not be fun, and it's extremely expensive to fix.
Right.
If a homeowner is going to do anything with enough time, they can learn what they need to do. But with a patio, the most important thing is the base. So that is the bricks themselves. You can do the design wrong. You can choose the wrong bricks. That in itself can be fixed. But if you skimp on the base, then in 3 years with the freeze and thaw cycles we have, it's going to look like a surfboard. You're going to be able to surf your patio.
Right.
And that's where you're going to call someone like us to come in and rip it out.
And redo the whole thing all over again.
And redo the whole thing over. And I would tell a homeowner, although Home Depot and Lowe's is great, they have awesome cheap products, but for pavers, it's not the same quality, not even close. So I would then go to a professional, supplier like Riverhead, the old UBS, and get, they'll deliver it, and whatever you don't use, they'll pick up. So have them bring in a good quality product, so that way you're spending the money on something good. And I mean, I can go into the details of doing a base if you really want to get into the DIY of.
I'll share that with you and see if I'm on the right path. I did my patio with bluestone, and I dropped 7 inches of I think it was 1/2 inch pea stone, and I tempered it down. No stone dust, none of that stuff, and I placed them in there, and that thing has been there for, I'd have to say, at least 10 years, and that thing hasn't moved at all.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, the stone worked, but it's not the right stone that we use, but clearly it worked in your situation. What we do is we dig down 8 inches, and I'll say we overkill it, because I don't want to go back and fix it. You guys probably know in your business, if you go back and fix anything, you're losing money. So I dig down 8 inches, and we put a stabilization fabric down, which, in the name, it stabilizes it, but also it keeps the stone from integrating with the soil. So it's, in a little box. Then what we put down is drive grid, which you find under paver driveways, but I put it in my patios and walkways. Because it's meant for, like, if the tires are always in the same spot, the pressure, it keeps it from sinking in that spot. So with that, the drive grid and then the stabilization fabric, when you use drive grid, you can actually cut your base in half. I don't. I still use 8 inches, compacted 3/4 inch. And then we do 1 inch of 3/8 stone or 1/4 inch chip. And that's what's called an open grade base, which is newer in our field, whereas more traditional is called, I don't know what to call it now, but it's a process with stone dust. that I don't use it. I like open grade, better drain. But yeah, that's how you would do your base, and you want to make sure that is good. Otherwise, like you said, yours been there 10 years, it hasn't moved. If somebody
when you use, I'm sorry, Jordan, when you use process, do you like to use process aggregate, or do you just use a regular process?
I don't use it at all.
Okay. All right.
I go open grade. All three. It's all stone. Our base is all stone.
Okay.
Really? Okay. So you don't use leveling sand or anything else?
No, our leveling sand is switched out for 3/8 stone. So
okay.
Yep. So we'll get our screed pipe, set it on there, level it all off, and we'll screed in instead of the sand. It's all 3/8 or 1/4 inch chip. So it
interesting.
And what's beneficial to that is you're able to work in the rain. I mean, you guys probably have gone on sites in your time, like within your careers, of somebody putting in a patio with process, and it rained the day before. Well, they're not going to be there for 2 days while it dries out.
Right.
With open grade, it drains right away. It drains right out. We're able to work. We can work in the rain. The lawn might not be the ideal, but our work site is.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So so you go down 8 inches. Now the norm or the industry standard is 6, right? Is that correct? 6 inch.
6 to 8. Yeah.
6 to 8. Yeah. So wow, 8 inches. That's great.
Yeah. I tell everybody it's overkill. We're slightly. We're probably a little bit slightly more expensive than most, but I'll tell you what, if that thing moves, there better have been an earthquake that happened.
Or a sinkhole.
Yeah.
Yeah, there better have been something that if it moves, I will be surprised.
Right. Gotcha. So now you did mention it briefly, and on the show we've talked about this for a lot of different products. So what is the difference between pavers at one of the box stores versus at one of the lumber yards or the stone yards?
So they're both concrete, but the PSI difference, and the Unilock that I use, their pavers are anywhere from, on their high end, about 12,000 PSI down to, I believe, 5,000 PSI. And basically, the higher the PSI, the less water that's going to get through. The less water that gets through, the less damage that's done to the concrete. So I don't know what the PSIs are for Home Depot or Lowe's products, but they don't last very long. So I would assume, 2,000-3,000 PSI.
Okay.
And not to mention their designs are different. It's just not good stuff.
Right.
I've had homeowners say, "Hey, can you come just do the install?" And they'll be like, "Oh, I got it from Home Depot." Listen, no. And it's really not that much more expensive. If you really look at the price difference, it's especially if you're buying it yourself as a homeowner, you can get Boston Colonial from Ideal, which isn't the best of our industry, but it's still a professional made paver. I believe they're like $3 a square foot.
Right.
What's the best? What's the best that you work with?
Unilock Rich Cliff is $12 a square foot, and that's 12,000 PSI. But that stuff is beautiful. And that and Rivercrest Wall is $30 a square foot. We did one project. It was 6 pallets of that. They're like $600 a pallet.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's beautiful stuff. But it's time consuming, because that was the one that is 2 3/4 of an inch for one course. So you're doing 3 courses to get 1 course of a standard 6 to 8 inch block.
Right.
So, and they're all glued. So you have to glue every piece. It's not just stack and go.
Oof. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So, I mean, amazing products.
Rather clean a gutter than do that.
I'd rather build a pyramid. That's a lot of work, man.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that's why it's an expensive stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. It's not just dig a hole and put some bricks down.
Right. Which a lot of people think is the way to do it. They don't realize that what's really involved in doing a quality job.
And then the biggest thing is people compare us to concrete. It's nowhere similar. similar at all.
No.
You know, concrete, half the people, they don't do bases. They'll they'll just dig it out, compact the soils, and go. Some people, they might actually put a couple inches of base. But concrete is going to crack eventually. It's either going to crack next year or it's going to crack 10 years from now.
Yep.
And the biggest thing that's different, and I tell this to customers all the time, is and especially if it's their forever home, because I don't want them to force the project just to get a patio.
Right.
So, say my project's at, say, 15, 16,000 and concrete comes in at like 7 or 8. Well, if part of my patio sinks and it's a 10 by 10 section, 100 square feet, I go pull that section out, I repair that section, I put the section back. If your patio that's concrete cracks, there's no fixing it. You can cut out a spot and patch it, but you'll have miscolored concrete. You then have to rip it all out and redo it. Mm-hmm. So that, concrete's got its place, but I'm not a big fan.
Right. No, I understand. Now, when you buy the stone from a yard, I was under the impression that you have to buy it by the pallet. Is that still true, or?
Depends on the product. So I actually I'm doing a patio next week, and it's all special order. Once I purchase it, it cannot go back. Whereas some products, they'll take half pallets. They'll take by the piece. Like we use Unilock basalt copthorn as our borders a lot. It's a skinny blue border. They'll sell it by the piece. If I tell them I need 25, they'll give me 25. But we're doing this patio that I'm talking about is in Westport Bavarian color. That is by the pallet only. So depends on the product.
So when you design the patio, if you have to buy it by the pallet, make sure you use it all up.
Either use it all up or design to the pallet size. Right. So that way if you're going 10 square feet into a brand new pallet that's $600, is that 10 square feet worth it? Do you want to, because with hardscapes, you can do curves that make the space feel bigger, even though it's the same space. So we can maybe bring it in a little bit, but add a couple curves that makes the space feel bigger. That way we're saving $700, $600, whatever the pallet cost may be.
Right.
Like ceramic tile, does this stone also have like lot numbers? You want, like, if you need to
die lots?
Die lots?
Die lots, you mean like serial numbers? Or
like when they make a batch is like, 3701. You got 4 pallets of 3701. And then a pallet of 3702 comes in. Is there going to be a difference in color?
I kind of get what you're saying there. No, I mean, you call up and say, not that I know of, maybe, but as far as I know, you just call up and say, hey, this is what I need, and they send you what they have.
Okay. All right.
But they're pretty. We actually went to a Unilock seminar, and they took us through the plant, and it's pretty cool how they make them. They'll crank out 30,000 square feet a day, and they're their batches are pretty consistent as far as colors and as far as sizes, because you'll get a little bit of variances between the bricks.
Mixing it up in a big bucket. One guy comes over, sticks his finger. Yeah, that's good.
That's how Unilock started. The guy who started Unilock actually made it just in a big bucket, and he made 4 bricks at a time with a press.
Wow. Huh. See, you weren't far off. Look at you.
He just wasn't eating it.
Right.
Don't eat the brick.
So we ask everybody this question: any horror stories you have that you want to share?
There's so many.
See, I like that when people are honest.
I know that, dude.
Yeah.
That's the wrong color stone. That's not the right one. I don't want stones that way. I want them to go this way. Oh, that must drive you freaking crazy.
Yeah.
You're gonna put that stone there? You're gonna put that stone there. Really? You're gonna put that one there? Yeah.
It's funny. I have 2 stories. One, and I love the customer that I worked for, but they sat on the front porch the whole job. And it was he was a carpenter for 40 years. We were only the third contractor that was ever working on his house. And you guys probably know it. You're going through a job and you see something, you know you have to do it, but you haven't done it yet. Mm-hmm. And so you're like, okay, that's, down the road. I'll do it then. But he was sitting on the front porch watching us put his walkway in. So he's like, hey, are you going to get that? It's like, yeah, we're not there yet. And then he'd be like, hey, can you break out the level? Yes, I understand it's high. We haven't gotten there yet. I see it. I know what's going on. Like, just come out and enjoy it in 2 days.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. I don't mind customers sitting out there, but there is that fine line of where it gets a little bit annoying, but it is what it is. They are paying us. So then another project. This is a horror story on this. I got screwed here, but it is what it is. Especially digging, there's a lot of unforeseens that we don't know about. And this was a job for a family friend, so I gave him a good deal. And, I went and dug the patio, and I was hitting a lot of rock. And it wasn't ledge, it was just big rocks. But in one corner of his patio was 22 inches of base instead of 8. Because those rocks took out so much area that I couldn't put the soil back. I had to put stone. So I was 2 triaxles off of stone.
Oof. That's expensive. Yeah.
It was
especially when you're doing it at a discount.
Yeah, I didn't make any money.
No.
He got a free he got it at cost, basically.
Wow. Nice.
Oh my God. You must love it when it's all done. You go, hey, what do you think? And they're like, I got a problem with this stone over here. I don't like the way it's looking at me. Can you take that stone out and put another stone in that place?
Or they'll say, oh, well, I don't like the way this line's like, we agreed on a wall stopping here, but they don't like the placement or how it stops here. It doesn't extend. And it's like, well, that's what we talked about. That's what we agreed on. I'll build you more wall, but it's not free.
Right. Yep.
Almost, obsessive compulsive people can be difficult with that. I remember guys were putting up solar panels, and when they put them up too, there's some are linear, and then some they stagger them, And they've told me they've put them up, and the customers looking at there, and they're engineers, and they go out there and they measure it, and they go, this one is off a ½ inch compared to that.
Oh my God!
These panels are 8 feet, 8 feet long, 8'4", whatever, Yeah, they're off. It's off a ½ inch. Can you change that, please? Can you fix that?
Oh my God! You got to go back up on the roof, adjust it. Oh, that would not be fun. I hate heights too, so I would.
Oh, geez,
really?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't like heights either.
I don't do heights anymore after today. I'm done. I'm retired.
Today was the day.
Today was the day.
Jordan,
that was it.
It must be pretty exciting for you to be on the show on the day that Jimmy quit doing gutters.
Yeah.
It's a special day.
2 feet on the ground, baby. 2 feet on the ground.
All right, Jordan, how do people find you?
They can, the podcast or the business?
Let's go with the business first.
The business, they can find me on Instagram at peak.lawncare or on Facebook, Peak Landscaping and Snow Removal, or facebook.com/peaklawn. And, just on Google, they can Google Peak Landscaping. Hopefully I'll pop up. That's
all
what
right.
we pay.
All right, buddy.
And then how do we find the podcast?
It is CT Business Podcast across all the platforms.
Okay.
Awesome.
Perfect. Well, good luck with both. Yeah. Good luck with the podcast. Good luck with the landscape business. And like I said, I was on your website, saw some nice pictures. So I think you guys are doing a good job.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome.
Thank you, man.
All right, Mr. Driscoll.
We out of here.
We're out of here. We're just done.
Done.
Groupies, get out of here. We're done. All right. See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.